Thank you. I would like to welcome everyone to our July 19th, 2018 school board meeting. We have completed our executive session, and would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's move on to public comments. Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have one speaker this evening. How much time can we allot?
Well, let's do 3 minutes. Is that good?
Very good. Connie Jackson will speak about the topic of arrays.
So here we are again. I'm not going to belabor the point because I'm pretty sure you guys have gotten my point in the last 6 months. What I really just wanted to say was thank you on behalf of the substitutes. When you guys said that this raise would apply to substitutes, I was overjoyed. Because as you know, that is one of the things that I have gone on and on about, because the inability for us to get substitutes at some of our schools has been dramatic. And covering classes during your planning or having to split classes and have extra kids in all the rooms has been a real downer for a lot of educators. And while it's not a huge raise for the substitutes, anything is a great, great gesture. So I'm very happy to report to our people that this raise also will cover the substitutes. And I hope that that's an area that we can continue to work on as we go forward, because we wouldn't make it without substitutes. So I've seen some of the schools start putting together welcome packets for them and all that. So I hope that we can continue to value our substitutes. And then thank you as a board in advance, because I know that you're going to pass the raise, for doing this for us. I think it's an incredible step forward for our employees. And they've all worked so hard and will continue to do so to make Cobb County the best school district in Metro Atlanta and in all of Georgia, honestly. We are the best, and we want to stay the best, and part of that is valuing all of our employees. So thank you again. I appreciate you all.
Thank you. Is it Mr. Doyle? All of them? Okay. Next, we have items requiring action following executive session. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm going to ask Mr. John Adams to bring all of the items requiring action in following executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Mr. Chair, members of the board, it's my pleasure to bring you the Human Resources Personnel Report for today, July 19th. The administration recommends the approval of the identified employment actions of those individuals listed on the Personnel Action Report as discussed in executive session. Specifically, we do have 3 principal level and higher position recommendations as follows. Onan Koka, recommended for employment as Director of Content and Marketing, Chief Strategy and Accountability Division, effective July 23rd. Deborah Randazzo, Director of Internal Compliance, Financial Services Division, recommend you approve retirement, effective December 1. And Felicia Wagner, recommended for employment as Executive Director, Cobb Schools Foundation in the Chief of Staff Division, effective August 1. This concludes the personnel report.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. So I have a motion. Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Make a recommendation that we accept the superintendent's personnel action report as presented.
Thank you. Mr. Scamahorn, second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll second.
Any discussion? Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Executive Director of the Cobb Schools Foundation, that is now a full-time position. Is that correct? And the previous, it was a part-time. Is that correct? Okay. Just want to make that clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. We'll vote at this time. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Okay, next is the action agenda. I believe action agenda item number 1 is on consent. And we have number 2 and number 3 for discussion. Mr. Ragsdale, you want?
Without objection.
Okay, yeah, well, excuse me. Without objection, the consent is good.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Agenda item number 2 is the recommendation to amend the FY 2019 budget. I'll go ahead and ask, excuse me, Mr. Johnson to come forward. Again, I don't want to repeat myself from this afternoon, but the bottom line message behind this agenda item is that last year we could not afford to do a 2% raise. With the new revenue that we're realizing, with the additional digest growth, we are able to afford that raise now. So when we can and are presented with the opportunity, we certainly take advantage to take care of our employees. And so we hope that, assuming the board approves this, that the 2.6, the increase of 1.5% raise for all employees will certainly be a welcome back that they were not expecting. Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, agenda item number 2 is a recommendation for approval to amend the FY 2019 budget. On May 17th, 2018, the board approved the 2019 general fund budget. The budget included an estimate of 6% net increase in the property value digest. After the board approved the budget, the district received the actual property value digest from the Cobb County Tax Commissioner's Office, which showed that the final growth was 8.21% net increase in the property value digest. This higher net increase will result in more revenue than was anticipated in the approved general fund budget for 2019. The result of the increased revenue, administration recommends an increase in the 2019 salary raise from 1.1% to 2.6% for all permanent employees and also for classroom substitutes. Administration recommends that the board approve the budget modifications presented to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a motion? Mr. Sweeney. Second, Mr. Chastain. Any discussion? Okay. At this point, all in favor? Opposed? Discussion, agenda item number 2 passes 7-0.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Mr. Johnson to bring the final agenda item for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent, agenda item number 3 is to adopt a resolution establishing the general fund millage rate. The 2018 school tax digest has been received from the Cobb County Tax Commissioner. Cobb County School District must establish the annual millage tax rate to fund the 2019 budget. The general fund budget was approved by the school board on May 17, 2018. The FY 2019 general fund revenue budget was developed with the assumptions that the district would experience property value digest growth and that the district would not increase the existing general fund millage tax rate of 18.9 mils. The school district has held 3 hearings in order to maintain the revenue generated by property digest growth. Administration recommends that the board authorize the resolution to establish the required 18.9 millage tax rate to meet the approved 2019 general fund budget.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Do I have a motion? Mr. Chastain? Second? Mr. Scamahorn? Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Agenda item 3 passes 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. This brings us to board member comments, and we'll start with Mr. Sweeney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I want to let the public know we have some school openings occurring on we've got school starting August 1, but we have ribbon cuttings that will occur on July 31st, Tuesday, and that'll be for East Cobb Middle School at 9 a.m. at the campus, and also Brumby Elementary School beginning at 9:30 a.m. And so we're looking forward to that, and looking very much forward to seeing those schools. I think it'd be great additions to the communities there. Secondly, I wanted to, Mr. Banks and I attended the Wheeler High School STEAM Symposium that occurred at the tail end of the school year. And at that event, saw lots of projects. I mean, it was really, really amazing what many of these students were doing. But one of the teams there actually was part of what they call the F1 racing team. They went from that symposium on to a national competition. They won the national competition, and now they're on their way to Singapore to represent Wheeler High School for the F1 racing team. And they'll be doing that in Singapore for international competition. And the members of that team are Shivam Patel, Michael Jin, and Arul Gupta. And we just wish them the best in representing Wheeler High School and the STEAM Magnet program under the leadership of Dr. Cheryl Crooks. And lastly, in case you weren't aware, there's a big day coming up on Tuesday. Get out and vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Ms. Thayer.
Thank you. I want to welcome back all of our principals, and all of our administrators are all back by now, I think, and our new teachers are back. And I also want to thank the staff. I've heard great things about our opening of school, welcoming back for administrators and for our new teachers. Everybody says you did a great job. Mr. Superintendent, I asked them if they remembered what you said. They said no, but they thought you looked good in your golf shirt. So thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We look forward to a great new school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thayer. Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, we had orientation of new teachers at McEachin, hosted by Regina Montgomery, who is the principal at McEachin, and many other vendors were there to host these new teachers. I think there was about 600 teachers there. It was amazing. A lot of young, in my eyes, a lot of young people were there getting oriented, listening to our administrators, what's expected of them, and the conduct and the expectations that we as a school district have for our teachers. Afterwards, while I was there, I talked to several of the new teachers, and fortunately, I was at a spot among the 600 doing lunch that I got to speak to, and it turns out that I hit it lucky. A lot of the new teachers I talked to are actually going to be teaching in schools in Post 5, so it was quite unique, and we had some very good conversations. I'm looking forward to seeing them again and wishing them good luck. And after I left after lunch and went up to Harrison High School to visit Principal Ashlyn Campbell, which was an AP at Laster, so I got to know her very well. And while I was there, Ashlyn was not there at the time, so I talked to the resource officer and the secretary. And I found out that we have a resource officer who has a son that's getting to be a football celebrity at University of Georgia, Justin Fields, and his father is Ivan Fields. So we're expecting some great things from him. Evidently, from a sports standpoint, Justin is an outstanding athlete. And so, but that's not to say we don't have a lot of outstanding athletes that have gone on to fame and notoriety in our community. So it's been a short summer, but I hope everybody's ready to come back and start August 1st at full throttle. So I'm looking forward to a fantastic year, and the big thing about being on the school board and being part of the school process, of the academic process, is graduation. So I'm looking forward to 2019 graduating class. So that's always a big event. So, but in the meantime, there'll be a lot of activities going on, and so I'll be busy for the next 9 months anyway. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Banks. Mr. Scamahorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We'll keep this short and light. We have two new faces out in front of us this evening. And Ms. Sherry Hill, welcome. And Mr. John Foresta, both of you welcome. We don't tell our new folks how hard the job is until they've accepted it, and then it's too late. So look forward to not only working with you, but good things out of you. And either on purpose or by accident, you have fallen into a great team. So if I can help in any way, please let me know. That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Scamahorn. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to celebrate, even though they did this a while ago, I think this is my first time wearing a T-shirt. Can I see it? Can you see it? Right there.
That's a good view right there.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. They took it off. What y'all do? Dang, bro. There we go. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Mapleton Elementary, they're esteemed certified by the state. And so I just want to brag on them a little bit about that accomplishment, this T-shirt that they have. And this I know that Ms. Kane over there, Pamela Kane, is principal over there. She's doing a great job. That concludes my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. Mr. Chastain.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just echo what everyone else has said. I hope everybody's having a safe summer. And I know there's other things that we won't mention tonight, but just looking at Facebook and social media, a lot of our teachers and students have been doing special events over the summer as part of their continuing education. So I hope they're all safe and coming back safe, and looking forward to August 1st. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Start out tonight, unfortunately, we have to offer our condolences to two individuals. One was a retired principal from McEachern High School, Mr. Tommy Farr, and unfortunately we had a freshman at Osborne High School pass away this month, Mr. Kevin Seegers, and so our thoughts and prayers definitely go out to the families of those individuals. You already mentioned new teacher orientation and kickoff, and there was a lot of excitement in the room, and one of the things that really wowed the new teachers was we presented a video, and it goes right in line with our student success statement of our mission statement, and that is because one of Mr. Stafford's students created that video, so you guys will be able to see it if you weren't there. We're going to share a different version, but very similar in the first day broadcast next Friday, and then we'll make it available on our website or on the internet for people to take a look at. So definitely impressive, definitely great work that comes out of that group of guys. As you all see at graduation, they're always there for each one of those. So congratulations to those, and a huge thank you. And a huge welcome to all of our new teachers. We have over 850 new teachers coming, and that is definitely a significant number. We have several, or more than several, but we have a lot of teachers just coming out of college, but we also have a lot of teachers that have figured out that Cobb is the best place to teach, lead, and learn. And so they have found that it's just better in Cobb, and so great majority of those new teachers are made up of those individuals. So certainly a huge welcome to our one team. Lastly, I just want to say a huge thank you to the board. It wasn't a surprise that you passed this raise, because we talk, and I know where you are individually as supporting of our teachers, but it's just really good to know and to be able to share with everybody that's watching, and also share it at New Teacher Kickoff, that the support of the Board of Education for every employee in this district, it goes without saying, but it shouldn't, that is not a normal nor common occurrence in other districts. So I just want to give you guys a shout out, because it's, again, the one team starts with us, with superintendent and the board. And if we're not functioning as a team it just kind of all falls apart on the rails moving down the stream. So a huge thank you for you guys, and also a huge thank you to Financial Services for putting us in a position that we are able to do what we have been able to do tonight for our employees. Welcome back to all the teachers and administrators and all of the staff. I reiterated this again at our new teacher kickoff, but we have two types of employees in our district: those that teach and those that serve those that teach. And people, when you come up with a mission statement like One Team, One Goal, Student Success, initially it's always looked at as, well, that sounds good and it's good words on a card. But today, I truly believe that every one of our employees not only knows the mission statement, but they believe it. And they believe that we believe it, that's how we make decisions as to how it impacts kids. And as we have 113,000 students arriving on August 1st, 2 weeks from yesterday, but who's counting? It's going to be an exciting year. Again, recapping kind of the graduation, we had a record-setting $115 million of scholarship money awarded, and I truly expect that to be exceeded this coming school year. So to your point, Mr. Banks, graduation is kind of that culmination of a great and successful school year. And regardless of what level you teach or what school you serve or what position you play on the team, you're playing a vital role in the success of every one of those graduates that walks across the stage. So welcome back. I hope you had a great summer, as short as it is. But right around the corner, there'll be a September break. So remember that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. I'd like to welcome all of our new employees to the team. And Mr. Stafford out there, once again, you and your staff, great job with that opening day ceremony. It's first class. I mean, if you see these things, graduations, first class. And also, I'd like to note, sound like Mr. Ragsdale, I think we got the same script here. Recent passing of former McEachern principal Tommy Farr. He had many years of solid service to the district. I respect him a lot. He was a good man, and he will be missed by many. And if there's no objection, at this time we are adjourned.